Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I think I can get rid of screen here. I'm almost ready to go. Oh, I'm posting it to the wrong sides here. That's not what we want. We want it there and want it. There we go. So we did our social things, not social media things. I promoted it on Reddit. I should get more into things like Instagram and Twitter and stuff like that. All right, welcome to this live stream. Today we're gonna work on this sketch that I did a couple of weeks ago, I think already. I did a couple of thumbnail sketches for a steampunk world, and I had the idea of a sort of a steampunk submarine. As you can see, the sketch is really rough. If you delete a couple of things, it could be a normal submarine. But hopefully today can actually make this sort of happen. So I think I'm gonna just going get stuck in there and just get going with a little bit of paint, and I think we will throw in some color very soon, because this needs some color. We're not gonna work in black and white today. I did this sketch in black and white and decided to leave it like that because it saved me a bit of time at the time. I didn't have a lot of time, so I kept it black and white. But we're gonna get some color soon. I think we're gonna grab some photographs and use that as our color palette. So we're gonna need to find a couple of nice colors that we want to use. Let's see, we can stay quite rough. This fin thingy is perspective. I think I'm gonna fix that first. Because now it's still easy to fix those things. Later on it's gonna be a lot harder. So we're gonna transform it. I need to merge the layers to do that, of course. Let's copy it better. Otherwise we're gonna have a big hole in our painting. Something like this probably. So we went from here to, yeah, that's probably right. So lock the layer back in and start a new layer. I'd like to paint on a new layer, just to not that I want to be able to throw away stuff when it doesn't work, because it generally doesn't happen unless I want to try something new that I'm not sure about. I will do it on a new layer, but I will do it on a new layer anyway. I won't do it on the layer that I'm currently painting on. I think I want this sort of ground area to go a bit further back in the background, and I think I want to create a sort of a nice set of pillars running so they provide structure for the building. That probably has to be smaller and closer, something like that. Over there, and we want the back here as well. Just really quick. Still really rough, but it's mainly sort of setting the scene now. I think this is gonna be my a little bit higher. Maybe here is that my horizon line? Not really, because no, not really. I think it's up here, so we need to fix that as well. But for now, it's mainly just establishing the overall sort of shot, and then after that we can worry about the color and the details. So we have a bridge going to the ship, and we have a gate. Not sure if I want to keep it there. At least we don't want it to be light. If anything, we want it to be darker. So that. So there's a bridge going here as well. We probably want to attach some equipment here, some detailing. Otherwise, it's gonna be gonna figure out what we're gonna attach there to make it look more steampunky. And I think I'm gonna adjust the nose a little bit, make it not a round. And we're gonna make it round here, but a sort of a fin, correct term, in the middle. And that's kind of cool. So, and bit by bit, we're gonna improve it. Just take our time with it, and yeah, that way, hopefully, we will end up with a fairly decent result. This is this is sort of the continuation of the plan that we currently have, and that plan is to live stream for 2 times a week on YouTube. Maybe I will maybe I will start streaming on Twitch too, so that I stream on both platforms. But I'm not sure yet about that. I have to see if that's worth it. I think in terms of streaming, I think Twitch is the better platform still. But I think YouTube is making great steps on their streaming services and things like that. Since we're doing the videos on YouTube, I kind of want to keep everything on YouTube. But that doesn't mean that we can't also do Twitch at the same time. I think there are ways to stream directly both YouTube and Twitch at the same time. So we might do that, but not today. We're gonna have to look into that. Also, how I will keep track on both chats and things like that. If there is a lot of chat activity, which currently there isn't, but that's okay. Just keep pressing the Windows key, because the Alt key is right next to it, and I'm using the Alt key to color pick. I think I can use. Could probably rebind a key on my. I have a key on my my tablet. That also works, but I don't know. I'd have to get used to that before I can sort of use that. I think we want the construction to be quite rough and post. So this sort of wing, attach it to a couple of beams or stuff like that, things like that. Yeah, support beams. Just to let the viewer know that this isn't a modern submarine. This is sort of an Victorian era machine. Not sure what I want to do there. I have these sort of chimneys, big chimneys. I'm not sure if I'm gonna keep those. I think they're kind of cool, but and when the submarine is not submerged, I think it could be powered by steam, because that's the idea of steampunk, of course. Steam powered stuff. So I kind of want to keep that idea in. But not sure if I want to keep 2 chimneys. Maybe I will do 1, but kind of helps with the scale. Because usually these chimneys are huge, so hopefully you get the idea that this ship is actually quite a big one. So for now, it's been mostly tidying up our existing sketch. I had this sort of thing hanging from the ceiling. Not sure if we're gonna keep it. Maybe we'll bring it back later, but for now we don't need it. So it's only in a way. So we're gonna get rid of it. Not sure I'm gonna go with those pillars. What the function of them is gonna be yet. But we'll figure something out for them. We probably want some structural stuff down here as well. Although this is sort of a dry dock, so you don't want to have too much stuff going on there. Usually you would expect this to be like that, the line. But I don't know, we could maybe make this a sort of a control tower, so that it makes sense that it's slightly different. Probably need this to be like that. I think we do. That's sort of the end of the floor we're looking at. And then also want to keep it aligned with in line with the pillars. So for now, it's mainly cleanup of the existing scene that we had. So we started quite rough, and yeah, it was still quite rough, but we're getting in some more detail already, so that's good. I think I want to this edge a little interesting looking. This front. Sort of a bit like a plow. Plow? Is it a plow or a plow? I don't know. Plow, I think. Yeah, plow. From a train, a snow plow. Sort of that ID front here. Kinda cool. So it's not just a smooth hull. Although we want it to be fairly streamlined, of course, because it's still submarine. It's a sort of the ideal shape, because submarines have evolved to be this shape. The other end, this is steampunk, so we're still sort of technically an era in which that still might be that still need to be discovered. Some physics and things like that, or how water flows and behaves. So we can give ourselves a little bit of freedom in that regard. So there we go. Yeah, I think I can keep doing this, of course, all day long. So I mean, it doesn't really matter whether we use color or not for tidying up this painting, whether it's colored or black and white. Principles are kind of the same. Now we need to focus a little bit more on values rather than. Oh, we can focus a little bit more on values rather than color. And as you can see, this front is slightly too dark. This area is slightly too dark. We're gonna try to change that a little. Though I usually like to do that just with color, because you can sort of bring in a fog of a certain type of color, and that can sometimes help make your painting a bit cooler. I think that value passes. Okay. Yes, definitely. So I'm quite happy for now. We're gonna add some color to it. So hopefully we can make it that extra bit interesting by using a bit of color. Gonna grab my correct one. I'm gonna browse on screen because then you can see what I'm looking at, which would be it's kind of nice. I'm not sure what color I want. Usually I'd say sort of brownish colors, but blue could be as well. I think we just have to pick something and see what works. So let's pick, for instance, let's pick this one. Because there's a bit of a light spot, but that's not necessarily a problem. As you can see, the subject of the photograph has nothing to do with the excuse me, with the painting, but that's not the goal why we have the photograph. Usually I even blur the photograph a little bit using some motion blur or like that. This is kind of cool, but it turns into sort of a wintry scene. Don't really know whether I want that. I think I like this quite a lot, but makes it quite dark. Flip it. Yeah, better. Gonna do it. Gonna get a light spot right. This doesn't really work. You have those sort of rocks without color. We're gonna keep it for now, but I want to add some yellows in there as well. So let's see whether it's a really small picture. I don't know if this makes sense. But, throw it in there, see what happens. a lot smaller. I'm gonna flip it both horizontally and vertically. I think it works, but and probably need to blur it. This is kind of cool because those greens sort of make it almost like a cave. Which would be cool. Yeah, this is definitely color that I'm looking for. Probably want to blur it. So not blur it. It doesn't it work? Yeah, let's not blur it for now. I want to see whether I can use this sort of trees and plants in the painting. I think this is a nice. It's very dark now. That's something that I'm looking for. The same goes for this. This is a bit too light. But we probably if we lower the opacity. This might be an option. I'm gonna keep it for now, but we're gonna keep the layer for now. I'm gonna turn it off. Maybe this. As you can see, it's mainly landscapes that I'm using. Landscapes usually, especially certain photographs, usually you have a cool lighting to them, and it's actually really cool. Work. This could work, but we'd have to blur it, I think. It's a little bit too dark. And if we lower the opacity, it's not working. I think this one could work. It's probably a little bit too bright around here. This could work as well. We could always do like this. Lower the opacity. Lower this one as well. This still looks really, because of the blues, this starts to look like snow. And I don't necessarily want that. So we're gonna pick a couple of more. Usually I kind of throw in something and think, oh, it looks kind of decent, and then I start to go with it. But I kind of want to explore different options here. So yeah, this is a really strange one. Probably want to throw it. And we probably have to blur this one. One thing I don't like about blurring my picture is you get these lines. I probably want, maybe I need to use Gaussian blur. On a faster preview. Increase the radius a little bit. The problem is you're kind of keeping the original lines of the painting. Kind of like this color, this blue and green and yellow at the top. I kind of like it. So we're gonna filter. See if we blur whether we could just blur it like that. We rotate that a couple of times. The original still shines through much. So let's blur, motion blur. Motion blur is just the best one, I guess. We could do it horizontally. But you're gonna end up with lines anyway in certain directions, so not that it really matters because we're gonna paint, and that will get rid of a lot of it. I think we're gonna stretch it a little bit because we had that's the artifact there. I like the colors down here, but not up here. So let's see if we can find a different one that. Wow, way too dark. Screen. What if we were to this one on top? No. The background is a little bit too bright, but I think I can live with that. Let's see, this is a little bit less bright, so let's go with the less bright. So yeah, that took a little while longer than I expected to. Normally, I just throw on something and roll with it. And but for now, I kind of wanted to yeah, as I said before, I kind of wanted to explore this stuff a little bit more. As you can see, we have a lot of fixing to do now, but that's okay. We're gonna collapse all. Gonna lock the layer, and then we're gonna make a new layer, and now we can actually go in and start fixing this. Yeah, I think a good way to start is just by remove this very bright background here. Getting rid of it. Go. And this is a little bit too bright. I think the walkway there, and I think we can get rid of a little brightness down here. Yeah, there we go. That was a quick, not really a fix, but a quick pass to get the colors back into the place that we for the values. Although I probably should add a black and white layer to check the values every now and then. But gonna paint first. Alright, so now we can actually start painting and go in and therefore, well, we already did some paint, of course, but the way that I throw on color is just is that how do I explain that? Kind of want this floor to be wet here and there. We probably want to add people to it as well later on. We want to get rid of that black line there. The way that I add color, or if I use this way to add color, it means that I probably want to extend it across that pillar. It means that I have a lot of fixing to do. So usually I just start out with a couple of photographs. That way I can immediately start sort of the way I want to. But with these thumbnails, I try to use new methods every now and then. So yeah, this was a new method, starting in black and white, and wrote down the color later. And I will probably use it more. I will also try to use different methods for the coloring. You can of course be a little bit more precise with it. I just grab whatever I think is gonna look cool and throw it over the entire picture, but you can do sections and you can do more photographs, combine more things. That's also an option. Not sure whether I like this to, whether I want this to be green. Kind of want to have some reds in there. So yeah, what was I talking about? Yeah, about my coloring methods. You can be a lot more precise, and I think that saves you time. In the end, maybe. But I kind of like this method because it sometimes it adds new things to your painting that you didn't see before, and it gives you sort of new inspirations or new details that can be really cool. So yeah. Let's see. And the problem is that wow, talking and painting is difficult at the same time. No matter which method you use, you always end up at a certain stage in which you think, this is not going the way I want to. I'm kind of at that point right now that you think, how am I gonna make this into a cool painting ever? But if you think that your ID sort of in your head, or the design that you have on paper is there, then stick with it, because it will come. It will come. I think every artist has those points during a painting or a project or whatever that that it doesn't really feel right, and it's sort of always, I think it's always sort of between that turning point between really rough beginner sketch and when it sort of starts to transition into an actual painting. I think it's around there that well, for me at least, I struggle mostly at that point, because when it's a really rough sketch, you kind of don't really care, because you know in your head that it's a rough sketch and you don't necessarily have to use it for anything. You can throw it away, you can throw it in a bin. But once you start to make it into a painting, you kind of decided to go with it and to stick with it. And yeah, that way you chose that piece. And I kind of want this to have sort of variations to it. Not sure if it's gonna work, but so yeah, what was I talking about? About that transition phase. So yeah, you're gonna have to transition at some point, and I think that's the most difficult point, that transition phase. Because it's not a rough sketch anymore, but it doesn't really look good enough to be a cool painting. So yeah, it's usually quite an interesting phase, and it's a phase that you sort of have to wrestle through. And once you have put in some time and some effort, and you can start to see it taking shape, then the confidence is coming back sort of in yourself and in the piece. And then I would not say that it is necessarily smooth sailing, but it definitely helps when you can see the piece start to come together as a whole. That's when things get easier. But that's my opinion. I think different artists have different may have different opinions on that. I don't know, but I've certainly heard it. Heard more people talking about that sort of that point. Whether you think, "Ooh, this just doesn't work." So yeah, I'm sorry for for being quiet, but I'm sort of thinking about the piece and how do I fit things together and things like that. So sorry for that. But I think that definitely helps. I think this nose needs work. Just doesn't. I think the idea is cool and it probably will work, but the colors that I'm using right now just don't. Um, so yeah, every now and then when you're not sure whether you're moving in the right direction, that's why I work on a layer. I this is how I fit the colors together, and then this is how I sort of moved forward. Um, and normally that's you can see definitely an improvement in there. I can see it, but I'm still at this point where I think I don't know. I don't know. So we're gonna have to stick with it a little bit longer, and hopefully that point will come. Hopefully. Um, and if it doesn't come, then you can sort of wonder what's wrong. Is it the piece? Is it your what is it? And sometimes a piece just doesn't work, and then it's okay to sort of let go, or to sort of finish it to the best extent that you can. And some other people might have some suggestions to improve it, or some people may just like it and you don't, but others may like it. So it's sort of still mission accomplished then, I guess. But yeah, don't give up too early. That's definitely something I used to do in the past, and still do probably. I think is give up too early. Maybe it's because it's digital, so you can sort of throw out stuff so easy, or delete stuff, add new stuff. Sort of kind of have to have a lot less patience to sort of get your work going, and that can be a bad thing. I want more detail here and here in the back, so but I'm not sure what I want to paint there, so I'm gonna see whether I have I know I have some photographs that I might be able to use. That I'm not sure if they're gonna work, but it's a church. I think I had something. I have something in my mind that I think I want to put it there, see whether it works, but I cannot find it. I could put this there. Maybe it doesn't really make sense, but that's sort of the beauty of this is definitely the beauty of digital, something you don't have when using traditional. You can just, on some extra detail, you pick a picture, think that might fit there, and just gonna try it and see whether it does or not. Maybe just gonna use it. Yeah, I think we're gonna use it probably. Um, Background. Not sure whether I want to keep the pillars. Yeah, I think this kind of works. So we have some. It almost looks like there's a fire going on down there. That's not necessarily the way we want to go. But now we have something there. We probably want something back here as well. And I think I have just the right piece for that. It's already for sketches, and that is the interior of the Saint Peter. I think it is the Saint Peter. This one. Is it this one though? The Saint Peter. Gonna. This is the Saint Peter, probably. So I have it somewhere. Pictures. I should sort my pictures, and I should download new ones. Way I gathered these is just sometimes when I see something interesting, I'll just download it to this folder, and every now and then, but last time I did it is a long time ago, I will sort these into the different folders. Why can I not find the Saint Peter? Interior. Not this one. This is definite. This is the one that I wanted to use back here. Still can see whether we can use it. I thought this is a kind of cool industrial look. It's so kind of cool. Maybe use there. Probably can get some of that. The perspective needs to be a lot more stretched out. Maybe make it work. I don't think so. I think we have sort of a filler in the background. Gonna do one more pass here, my photos, and see if I can find the one that I want to use. Otherwise, it's too bad. This might be cool as well. This bridge. So on this part, fire bridge. So, well, and throw it on there, I guess. See whether we come up with something interesting for the background. Of course, we're gonna have to sort of force a certain perspective on it, but which might not necessarily look too great at this stage, but we can fix that, of course. Need to flip them. Bigger. There we go. Maybe a little bit too much, but something like that in the far away in the background, sort of to have sort of a some filler there that we can use to yeah, to have some detail. So we have some detail now in the backgrounds. So gonna switch that one. Want to merge this. That. Probably want to merge it all together, like so. And then we'll just start a new layer to paint on. It's almost time for me to take a break, but I'm gonna work a little bit longer on this. Wait, layer? Yeah. I don't necessarily want this yellow here. So the yellow is okay, but I don't want it like a fire. I have to work on that. Well, maybe there are sort of fires in the background, as sort of to melt metals and stuff. That's probably a possibility. I think we also need some cranes and things like that. Some boxes and stuff. It's gotta start to look more like a shipyard. So hang something on here. I'm not gonna worry too much about. Well, yeah, we probably should values. And yeah, we need to start to scatter this area with all sorts of things like boxes and stuff like that, so that you can see that people are working hard here to fix this thing, to get it going. Let's see. I'm currently using my my preferred landscape brush. I think I'm gonna switch to this one. This is a square chalk brush. This is default Photoshop. Because I quite like the texture that my landscape brush brings, but at the same time it's a bit too sometimes it's quite difficult to paint stuff like this with it. And as you can see, I'm switching straight back. It's just, I love this brush. It's a cool brush. It gives a certain and a amount of texture that it does give. But I think for a lot of detail, we still need some brushes. Some of these things I still don't necessarily know what they're for, but tools and things like that. So struggling quite a bit with this painting, I have to say. Not an easy one. I was sort of when I started today, I was deciding between two paintings. One of the winter scenes, and this one. And I decided to throw a coin. This beautiful coin. Throw simulators on the internet. So I decided to use one of those, and it was heads, and this one was heads, so you had to do this one. And I'm enjoying it, but I'm still not 100% sure whether we're gonna make it a cool painting or not. That's sort of frustrating about this one. Sure if I can make it work. I might as well try it. Sort of a hose coming down there. Usually I save those things for the last minute, but that was in the sketch, so can keep it for now. If it gets in the way, we will probably just get rid of it and in later. As I did with a couple of those ropes and things that we're gonna attach it to ropes and stuff like that. Future. We probably want to integrate this in our painting a little bit better. So why am I at 40%? I want 80. On the man pants. So what if there is a big city or something out there? So that is sort of the, so it's sort of backwards in this cave kind of thing. There's a sky and clouds and things like that in the background. Sort of, and then there is all sorts of towers and building stuff back here. And maybe even some mountains. I don't know. There's probably a river or something going to this dock. As usually, as probably not that. If any docks that feed directly into the sea, it's always a channel or a river or something like that. So that's that. That's a bit of the background. I think that sort of detail is it's kind of nice. We're gonna detail the city a little bit better. I think yeah, we cannot really see where we started off today, but I think we're starting to get at the point where we can say, you know what, this might actually start to work the way that we kind of want it. So that's cool. But I've been streaming for an hour. I'm gonna take a break, and hopefully I can do another hour after the break. So we're gonna put on the break screen and timer, and I'm gonna be back in like 4 minutes, probably, hopefully. So I see you in And we are back. So welcome back. Let's quickly continue. I have some coffee here, so I hope I will remember to take a sip of coffee every now and then. Yeah, to reiterate, we cleaned it up a little bit. We added some color, and I think I'm gonna flip the canvas because I think I see a little bit of a perspective mistake with this thing. This has to get lower. But if we flip the canvas, you can easily see whether we made any mistakes. I'm not sure. It could be that it looks like a mistake because this goes up. Because it doesn't really look like a mistake on this side. Pillars are a little bit off, but and I'm not happy with this area down there, so it's also a good way to check. Let's flip it horizontally, and so we're back to normal. I'm not really happy with this bit here. It doesn't really add anything. Of course, we could put people on it, but it's sort of there to be a foreground object, but it doesn't really. I don't think it really adds that much. So I think I'm gonna get rid of it, and that way we can show a little bit more of sort of the bottom of this thing here, and we can keep the bridge, I think. But if we wanted to, we could also get rid of that. Better off using a different brush, but so yeah, that's quite a radical change. But I'm sort of 99% certain that I want to make it. If I was like 50-50, I'd do it in a new layer and turn it on and off, see whether I actually like the change. Seems I'm like, you know what, I'm certain about this. I'm not doing that. Because this, I think I'm gonna get rid of this bridge as well. Hi, bridge. We could keep the door, but might not. Because this allows me to sort of work with this the way this thing is sort of sitting on the floor. Are these big pillars, or how are they? How are they fitted to the floor? And how will this get off the floor? Is there a massive sort of crane at the ceiling? Probably. Or will this did it sort of drive into it, and then they drain the water out of it, and that way it's sat on those pillars? It's all sort of stuff that you can sort of try to answer, and of course in the end the answer matters a little bit, but we can make the answer the way that we want it to be. So that's the cool thing about designing. So I don't think we're gonna miss that foreground element. I think we can. It allows us to sort of start to make some more details down here at the bottom. We can sort of expand this. This is a sort of this is the structure that keeps the ship upright. Probably want to make it quite strong. So, and it allows us to build some scaffolding, for instance, the floor. So let's say that there is a sort of a scaffold all the way up. It's going all the way up to the ship. So like so, and then I have to figure out the perspective of this thing. Okay, sort of down upon it. We don't have to, of course, but it's kind of cool to sort of add these details to it, and could be a little cabin here that sits there temporarily. No, so we can add all sorts of stuff. We can add people down here that are walking and that are working. So by getting rid of that element, I think we gave ourselves the opportunity to add more interesting detail to the painting. And I think the overall feel is there. I think we just need to start worrying about cleanup now. I think the design is sort of there, and I'm decently happy with it, and now it's just about cleanup. So making it all look nice and cool. I quite like the shark look of that cockpit, actually. I might keep that, and I might try to sort of introduce that throughout the entire painting. Let's work on the background a little bit. See if we can make this it's all interesting. I think am I gonna use my a big flat brush for that? Yeah, why not? This is one of my favorite brushes, as you probably already know. If watched my streams more often on my videos, you know that I love this brush. And I was really rough the last time that I did this, just before the break. I worked this as well, and I was really rough. And now I could have done it correctly the first time, but I was in need of a break, and then can sort of start to rush things. But as long as you don't really happy, you're not really happy. Well, for me at least, as long as I'm not really happy with the overall feel of the painting, I tend to rush a lot of stuff. I tend to rush in a lot of detail or things that I think add to the painting. So, but at this stage, I'm quite happy with how it turned out now. So I can be a little bit more careful, and as you can see, there's still not a lot of it's still really rough, but that's okay because that it is in the background, so we don't want it to be too detailed, because if it is too detailed, our eyes get distracted by it and wander off into this background, and that's not what we want. So that's why we will keep it fairly rough. So and at this point, yeah, there is a bit of cable left here, but at this point you can barely see that this was a graph. If you know it, then you might be able to see, but if you don't know it, not gonna notice. And that's the goal. We use it as an element, as a sort of a source of inspiration. We could have painted it, of course, but allows you to add detail really fast. You can instantly see whether you're gonna like it or not, or if you can do something with it. And if you paint, you first have to paint, and then you have to decide, do I like it or not. So I think it's a really powerful way to add detail. Look, this is how it looks with the photograph. This is how we made it. You cannot see it, that it was a photograph anymore. The perspective is perfect at this point, but we can work on that later. Well, it's not necessarily the perspective, it's that this pillar is being wider at the bottom than it is at the top, so. I don't know if we're gonna fix it and how yet. I think for working on the submarine itself, definitely gonna use this square brush now, because it allows us to have a little bit of control brush. This is sort of this is the tower. It's holding. Let's add some pools. This is a sort of a really tough structure here. Not something that you just can throw over. And I think I'm gonna tone it down a little bit. I think it's a bit too, it was a bit too dark for the position that it was in painting. So we have our big soft brush, and we can put it in its place. I think I wanted this to be a sort of an observation, little observation outpost, tower or thing. So we're gonna add some detail to that. So sort of glass, and they can sort of check out what's going on. And we probably want let's put some more ways to attach this a little. Yeah. And we probably want to have some pillar kind of thing going down here. You have to ensure that it follows the right curvature. Thingamajig. Turning out to be a quite complicated structure. This bridge is also a quite a long bridge. Probably needs to have a protection for prevent them falling off. So let's add a to the bridge. There we go. Some more details. Take a sip of my coffee. yeah, it's getting more and more to the point where I think, yeah, it's starting to come together. Last week's painting was sort of immediately. It felt good. It felt great. Sort of started to get together perfectly. But I think in the end, the thumbnail was really rough on that one. But I think the thumbnail was better. I had the color. I had the overall design there. Um, On this one, I only had the design. I still needed to fix the color, and I think the design on this one wasn't necessarily that great. I didn't really have a good idea, other than I wanted to be a sort of a steampunky submarine. And on last week's painting, I really had that idea of those houses attached to the trees and like that. I really had that idea in my head, and I really knew what I wanted to do with it. So that made it a lot easier for me to get going with it. And I just needed a little bit more time to figure that out on this one. But now that it is sort of figured out, I think I'm quite happy now. I think I want this to be brighter. That's gonna work, but I'm gonna stick with it for now. A little lighter as well. Still a lot of dark things going on there. Still not that clean. Yeah, I think it needs to be lighter on top. And we can sort of add suggestion of different sections. Maybe we can even add some people on top that are working on it. That would be kind of cool, I think. Yeah, do we want to some glass there? I don't think so. That. How about antennas? Usually a submarine has antennas, but this is sort of supposed to be sort of steampunky, so I'm not sure. Can something happen? Probably want it to be slightly different. Something like this, a little bit more interesting. And let's work on those chimneys. So let's try to ship sort of ship edge and clean. gonna need some form of need to make them a little bit more interesting. So we're probably gonna add some color to them. Maybe make them even a little bit lighter top, so that it can sort of sit almost in the water with the chimneys above. Maybe we're gonna make this top lighter as well, so it doesn't sort of a bit camouflaged. And of course we're gonna add some details to it, and maybe even a sort of a crow's nest, like on the Titanic. It was on the chimney, right? It was in the movie. I don't know if it was in real life, but that's all I know about the Titanic, probably. So yeah, that's sort of a crow's nest, and then we can make a little ladder to it, so they can sit there and sort of spot the enemies, something like that. I'm not sure if that door needs to stay there still. I want to get rid of a lot of these lines. I think we can use the colors to add interesting sort of wear and tear, patches and things like that to the ship. Still need to sort of figure out how this exactly fits in, how it all sits up front here. And some suggestion of where. So this is not a construction of a new one. This is a one that's sort of in maintenance. So it is battered and worn out, and it needs fixing. And we're gonna try to get that shit across as good as we can. Yeah, let's check the progress so far. So this is after a bit of work, sort of the cleanup detail thing. Yeah, I think we're getting somewhere. I think this can take it's probably gonna take quite some work to get it all in place where I kind of want it to be, but still have some time today, and on Friday we're gonna continue with this one. So gonna work for another half an hour to 2 hours. So we're gonna in total we're gonna spend sort of 3 to 4 hours on all these paintings, and some of them will end up better, I think, than others in those 4 hours. But I'm gonna try to finish them as much as we can in that time period. I think the shape of the ship looks a little bit strange here because how the sort of laid down. Gonna change that. And I think I'm gonna grab my big landscape brush because we want texture to that ship. We don't want it to be a smooth surface. It has to have a lot of variations in color and tone, things like that. Because it has been on a mission, and so hopefully we can get that idea across. Yeah, I'm still not sure about the construction around that wing, but I think if he were to add some highlights to it, it will probably okay. One thing that I need to worry about is all these patches of light areas where my paint I didn't really paint that well. Let's try to fill them in. We still want to keep sort of the texture going because there's water flowing in and out here, so it's not necessarily a really clean surface down here. Thing that goes for the ship also goes for this sort of dock. It will be used, and it has been used for a long time. So there's probably rust and things like that. But we want to make sure that you can see that. Probably to extend this up here so they can walk in from the top there. So yeah, here in the front here that's quite easy, but it is a lot harder to do back here. So we can do that, but we probably have to select the ship and then select inverse or select everything but the ship and then paint. Because that allows us to be less careful. But other ways that I sort of kinda almost cheat is to just paint a lot of detail in here, or a lot of things. For instance, we could do paint a nice little vehicle and things like that, and that way you get distracted from the fact that there isn't that much texture going on. Yeah, I still think it's a little bit too clean looking, and I'm still not sure about the perspective of that area. I still think it's off. Could be of course it could also be the submarine. Depends which one we pick for our lead in how the perspective should work. I think I'm gonna work on this back here because that color, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense either. And this floor is also something that I'm not happy with, not with the color. And there has to be stuff going on there. It's empty now and shouldn't be. So let's see what we can do about that. We can do something about it. So what if we make, I don't know, I'm just gonna just to be certain, I'm gonna paint it on a new layer because I'm not entirely sure about what I want with this. I think I want buildings or something, or offices or workshops, probably workshops down here that I used to create various parts for the submarine and things like that. Maybe fuel, I don't know, could be anything. But there has to be stuff going on here, and it's utterly boring. So let's add a little. We're not gonna detail these perfectly. We're just gonna make just give them the suggestion that something is going on there. So and yeah, the same goes over here. Could probably use this blue, not blue, this yellow and orange. To create cool stuff back here. Just gonna be really rough for now. One filler here. So let's make it. So I don't know what this is. It could be anything really, but and in the end we can decide later on what it is. You say, you know what, this is the workshop for the tools, and this is the this is where they make the fuel, and this is the weapons workshop, things like that. And the problem I am creating here is that I'm painting it all on the same plane. So no, paint it is, right? So there is no, it is as if there is sort of a painting hanging here instead of it being part of the painting, and that's a big problem. And we need to figure out how we can get rid of that. And so I think by extending this floor, by extending this forward, maybe even get rid of some of these pillars. Can go back here. There are some more pillars back there. Off. All sorts of ways that we can try to fix that problem. Still not entirely fixed, but he has some suggestion of detail. So do we like it? We either go for this, or we go sort of filler. I think we go with the filler. I think the perspective of this area here still isn't right. Maybe we can try to fix that. Grabbing the lasso tool. This. Jimmy. Don't need this at all. Merge it. Create new layer. Yeah, I think that's definitely better. Then I'd have to get rid of that. Yeah, I think this this is probably how we want to continue. Gonna have to do some adjustments. I have to clean this up again, but that's just as simple as get the eraser and we can do it right now. The big stuff on a brush. So this is probably too big as well. And we can paint that up, change that a little bit later on as well. So yeah, and then there's not much to change at the top here. There's a little bit of detail that we would have to worry about. I'm still not sure about those pillars. I kind of want them to, because that suggests that there is actually a big building going on here. We could instead, that might be a better idea, just move the pillar here. Let's try that on a new layer. Let's do it like this. And let it slide into there, and then something like this. I don't know. And we can, yeah, I think that works, and then we can copy it and smaller one and put it back there. Soft brush for this, yeah, for the part here. Soft one. Let's do that. which is part of that pillar as well. And we can copy this one more time. It's too close. Probably somewhere here. We have another one. Oh, I have to look past the other. Same goes for this one. That's the beauty of working digital. You can just have something that you think, that's probably gonna work. Can just copy it and paste it and actually see if it works. I think it does. I think it makes the overall feel a little bit more interesting, and I think we can even we probably will we need to get rid of those pillars and then put down those buildings there, and we can make these pillars more interesting. I think that gives us a lot more structure to the actual building. To expect this building to be sort of big, so big pillars, very heavy. So to achieve that, have to them heavier. Let's not do it. Let's do it with color balance. A little bit yellow. Tiny bit. Sign. 0. Red. Fits better in the background, and we can probably put opacity. Too low. And of course we need to erase the thing. With the thing from the crane. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of work going into this one, but I think it's worth it. I think it definitely improves it and helps. So that was the stream for today. On Friday we're gonna continue. I don't think I will get this one to a detailed level as I did my previous painting, which is a shame, kinda, but it's okay. There was a lot of sort of fixing to do, and I'm still figuring out this, a couple of things. So maybe if we really think that we can make this really looking, we might continue with this next week. But first, we're gonna have Friday, and we're gonna see what we can do with it on Friday. So stay tuned for that one. There's also gonna be a thumbnail sketch video. It's probably gonna be out tomorrow or Friday. I might try to do it tomorrow, but I'm not sure if that's gonna work. I have to catch up with a couple of sketches because I was lazy. So sometimes it just doesn't work. Sketch on a day, and then I have to do 2 or 3 sketches on a single day, which is okay. But I definitely think that I'm improving with my sketching abilities as well. That's really cool. If I look back to the first one, which was 3 or 4 weeks ago, and the ones that I'm currently making, I think I made a lot of progress there. So that's actually really cool to see. For now, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you back on Friday. Bye.